What's going on, everybody? This is Black Men Sundays. I'm your host, Corie Murray. We're talking about generational wealth. We're talking about finance, and we're talking about business.
It's a Black Man Sunday. Time to put all childish things away. I refuse to be the man I was yesterday. Gotta put my best foot forward and elevate.
And before we introduce today's guest, my man Eric from Huntsville, Alabama. I know you're grilling those ribs on this Sunday, brother. Who do you have for our Black Men Sunday spotlight?
Today's spotlight, we're gonna look at a maybe a not too familiar person, but he has a movie that's be coming out this week. His name is Nathaniel Sweetwater Clifton, and basically about him, man, he was the star attraction of the Harlem Globetrotters, and he changed the game for the basketball when he became the first African American to sign a contract with the NBA in the fall of 1950. So let me give you a quick rundown about Sweetwater. Sweetwater, or Clifton as they say, he was born in England, Arkansas, and he was given the name Sweetwater nickname as a boy because of his love of soft drinks and his easy disposition. When his family moved to Chicago, Illinois, where he became an outstanding basketball player and graduated in 1942, he attended Xavier University of Louisiana in New Orleans, and there he served in the military, in the Army, and he fought in Europe during World War II. Now, Sweetwater basically, on May 24th, he became the second African-American player to sign an NBA contract. He played his first game with the New York Knicks in November 4th. Now, Sweetwater was 27 years old when he made his debut. In his first season, he helped to lead the team over to an appearance in the NBA Finals, but he lost the game in seven, or they lost the game in seven. So during his 8th season in the NBA, Sweetwater Clifton averaged 10 points, 9 rebounds per game, and he was named in 1957 NBA All-Star Team, scoring 8 points in 23 minutes in the game. And then by the age of 34, he became the oldest player in the NBA to be named a first-time All-Star player. That's my spotlight for today. His name is Sweetwater, Clifton Sweetwater Wings, and basically, like you said, he got a movie that's coming out called Sweetwater that'll be out on April 14th of this month. So check him out. I need to kind of give you a quick rundown of his credentials and check the movie out. And I'm pretty sure when they made the film about him, they'd be happy that you support him and learn a little something about him. That's a spotlight to you today, Corie. Back to you.
Hey, great information, Eric, man. You always come with them spotlights. I like the one last week. You almost made me want to buy some sporting waves, but then I realized, I have braids now, so it's not going to do anything for me. So thanks for that. And thanks for, and those ribs look good down in Hunts Vegas, brother. So let's go on to introduce today's guest. We got Corie Lewis on the show. You don't know who this is. This brother played for the University of Illinois, one of the alumni. This brother was an academic all Big Ten for 3 years. This brother here played in the NFL. He played for my Patriots. He played for the Giants. He played for the Colts. He played the Canadian Football League offensive lineman. This brother, like I said, is an entrepreneur. We're going to be talking about fitness. We're going to talk about wellness. We're going to talk about health. We're going to talk about generational wealth, because that's what we built on. We have the CEO and co-founder of One and One, a Black-owned media company. We're going to find out all about that today. And this brother, like I said, played in the NFL as well. And this brother has a Master of Science in Sports Administration. Just to let y'all know, this brother's coming with it today. Corie Lewis, welcome to Black Men Sundays, brother. How you doing?
I'm good, my man. Thank you so much for the awesome intro, and thank you for having me.
Oh, definitely. And I want to dive right in right now. We're talking about One and One, a Black-owned media company. We're talking about wellness. We're talking about tech. We're talking about health, mental health specifically. We talk about generational wealth as well. So how can One and One, the company, help me in supporting the movement for generational wealth as a Black man?
So we break our view of wellness into 7 dimensions of wellness. One of those dimensions being financial wellness. Because obviously, as we all know, if you're not where you need to be financially, it can creep into the other areas of our lives, our mental health, et cetera, et cetera. So financial wellness and getting that right, learning how to budget, learning how to have financial literacy to do things at a high level to put you in a better place for success, for long-term growth, not only for yourself, but for your family and for the generations after you. That's one of the things that we focus on with our content. So the utilization of our content is one area that anyone can start at for free. And then obviously, that's on our website, oneononelife.com. And then we have financial experts who provide, tips through our blog, tips on different areas of financial literacy, to continue to provide those resources, for the BIPOC community, for the Black and Brown community. It's for everyone, but we also really try to focus on the BIPOC and Black and Brown community, because we obviously know that community suffers the most when it comes to the lack of financial literacy. So for those reasons, it's really important that to help people understand what they don't know, and that's one of the things that we're really passionate about. And then our app that we just released actually a couple of weeks ago, that's doing really well. It's a habit forming app, and we integrate aspects of our content and financial wellness, and the betterment of that into it, to help people build better habits around areas of wellness, financial wellness being one of the highest targeted aspects that people care the most about, because everyone's trying to figure out how to make more money, how to save more money, and just how to set themselves up for success. So that's what we're passionate about, and with all of our content, our readers read that type of content the most. And on my social media, people really engage with that content the most, really ask for more there, more tips there. I'm obviously by no means a financial advisor. I rely on the experts to provide me with tips and tricks of the trade that I regurgitate and try to help other people out. So I speak from a place of experience, and also just a place of hearing what I hear from the people who have helped me succeed financially in my life.
Do you do any investing? If so, you have any companies that's, because you're a tech, do you have any companies that you willing to share with us?
Frame Fitness is basically the Pilates of Peloton. That is going to come. It's just released to market this year. They're actually rolling the first couple of devices out, so I'm super excited about that. Pilates is, I would say, probably the biggest fitness modality right now in terms of the community and how many users and consumers that it has. So super excited to see how that expands, and how that grows. Aura Ring, that is a fitness tracker. I use it more for the sleep aspect of it. Great device. I do a lot of things in the CBD cannabis space. So there's a couple of opportunities there that I'm invested in at a high level, that I love. And then a lot of my other investments are like fund the fun stuff. And by what I mean by that, I'll invest with a venture capitalist who is focused on a lot of the like health and wellness, a lot of the things I'm interested in. So I give my money to someone else who obviously vet and trust or have some sort of relationship with, and invest into their fund, that focuses on different products, in different markets that I'm interested in. So obviously health and wellness being one of them, tech being another one, and tech and health and wellness. And I like consumer as well, D2C, but D2C is it's very tough. So it has to be a really interesting opportunity for me to invest there. And then, I have a lot of friends that are doing things that I invest money in, their ventures, just, not knowing whether or not it's going to succeed, but, I believe in them as friends, and I never invest with the thought of like, I got to get this back. That's one of the things of investing. Like, you may win 1 out of 10 deals, but that one deal was a home run, and obviously, cancels everything out. Obviously, yeah, we would love to win 10 out of 10 deals, but that's not reality. And never invest money that you are scared that you can't afford to lose. So that's like investment 101. Don't go out there investing your savings, into a venture that you're 50-50 about. And if you lose it, you're gonna, you're gonna be in a bad place. So that's not the way to go. So I never invest money that I am scared to lose or can't afford to lose. And I try to invest in people, and that's what matters to me most. If I believe in you as a person, I'm gonna probably write a check and see how it plays out.
Yeah, because with the market the way it is, a lot of brothers I knew pulled their money out. They kind of panicked. They saw it every day. It was just a dive. So they pulled their money out. But what advice would you give to brothers that didn't pull their money out, but they're kind of like, this, it's kind of a slippery slope right now with investing. Like, what would you say?
I would say as it pertains to the market, um, just reevaluate. Are you a long-term investor? Or are you a short-term investor? If you're a long-term investor and you didn't need that money today, then just keep strengthening your positions in the market, right? Continue to get that average cost base down by investing more. And then that way, when the market does trend back up, you end up in the same, if not better place than you were before the downtrend. What we do know is that the market will go up eventually. It's a little rocky right now. And obviously I wouldn't necessarily to suggest at a super high level, but maybe you're just nibbling and slowly but surely put money into and back into the market, or just really doing your research to kind of see when it's starting to pick back up. I pulling money at a loss, I never try to do unless like I that was only meant to be a short-term investment that like I expected it to hit at this certain time, and like this company has no chance of kind of redeeming itself. Then sure, that just cut your losses, use it as a tax write-off, and keep it moving. But if you're a long-term investor and like you still believe in the companies that you're invested in, or the growth funds the index funds, whatever it may be that you're invested in, like just continue to, lower your average cost base down. And then, yeah, when the market starts to trend back up, you'll be in a great place, and last thing you want to do is be in a place, man, I wish I kept money in, so if you don't need, if you don't need to pull the money out, then, just keep it in there. And then, as the market starts to trend back up from the place it is at now, I always, I'm always a big fan of just continue to, lower that average cost base. And once it starts to trend back up, I'm going to be in a great place.
I noticed as well, you're a personal trainer and you have the BPM program going on. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit because I feel like a lot of brothers, we're working a lot. We're not really eating. We're not really, I mean, we're eating, but we're just grabbing something quick and we're working these long shifts, because as a part of generational wealth, health is a big aspect. So I do want to talk about some nutrition with you. So as far as nutrition for, a business owner or a brother like me who's, creating generational wealth, what are some good nutrition tips? Because I'm not going to lie, sometimes I might skip breakfast, eat lunch like maybe an hour early. So what are some good nutritional tips? What are some good foods we can eat that'll give our brain some more focus and things of that sort?
Yeah, so believe it or not, I'm a big faster, and by what I mean, I do intermittent fasting. It's not for everyone, so it's not something that I necessarily demand people to do it. There is no one size fits all approach when it comes to wellness. I like fasting because what I tend to realize is that eating those potentially bigger meals during the day actually end up making you sluggish. Where what people don't realize, when you're fasting, your body actually creates adrenaline that helps you focus more. So when you're in a fasting state, although like especially if you're hydrating during that time and drinking a lot of water, whether it's seltzer water, sparkling water, flavored water, and or just your regular water, that should help sustain your hunger levels, or minimize your hunger levels to where you can fast longer and longer. I do the 16 off 8-hour eating window, sometimes even longer of how long I'm fasting. And that's one of the kind of tricks that I help to minimize how much food I'm trying to consume throughout the day, as well as like keeping me away from all the snacking and things like that all of us tend to want to do, especially when we're stressed out and things like that. But moving forward, if you're not someone who fasts, and that's okay, I would really suggest high protein type of snacks, because protein will allow you to stay fuller longer. If you do need to have some sort of carbohydrates, that's okay. Try to have those earlier in the day, but try to have complex carbs. Complex carbs are your whole grains and your grains, because those last longer in your system and they take longer to digest. helping you feel fuller longer. A lot of people go for some of the simple sugars, simple carbs, the stuff that tastes really good that we grew up loving. But and that's cool. It's not that it's the end of the world. However, those things tend to just make you hungrier and also make you crash a lot earlier in the day because they're usually higher in sugar and they're simple carbs. So those things are better, like to get some fuel for a workout or to get a short burst of fuel, but not necessarily long-term fuel. So that's why you want to have complex carbs that'll help keep your energy up, keep your energy sustained for longer periods of time and avoid that crash during the day. You end up seeing a lot of people, whether it's having a big lunch or just not having a great lunch, it actually ends up affecting their performance just because they're not fueling their body with the proper nutrients that will enable them and allow them to continue to have long-term energy, which ultimately minimizes their ability to focus and, just ability to stay alert, so that would be like some of my tips. And, obviously one of the ways to avoid some of those bad foods that you shouldn't be eating is just, if you're someone who works at home, just try to keep them out the house. And obviously if you're someone who works at the office where that office is providing a lot of that stuff that, you shouldn't be eating, just try to bring the right things to work with you so you can, have access to that and hopefully help you avoid some of those things that just may be around you and in your environment. So, and once you it's like with anything, right? Like it's a habit, right? So once you kind of get going with it, and in the same way you trained yourself to love that food, and really enjoy that food, I'm telling you, once you find a snack that is relatively on the healthier side and that you feel good about, maybe it's not as good as a Snickers, but it's good and you're not like miserable eating it, that's something that you can stick to. And I'm guarantee over time, you'll actually train yourself out of enjoying some of those, badder foods that aren't as good for you. Because I know for me, whenever I stray away and I'm really consistent with my diet, anytime I have some of that, I kind of relapse, I guess, and have a cheat meal, a high sweets, high carb meal, I feel so bad that I never want it again. And that's just because you train your body, to be optimized with the right things, with the right foods, with the right nutrients. So, that's one of the things when I'm working with any of my clients who are a lot of business people, high net worth individuals. I'm like, yeah, let's focus on what you're putting into your body. It's like fuel, right? We all look at ourselves, especially as business owners, as the Mercedes Benz. Well, you don't want to put Toyota Camry fuel in it, right? And if you're going to run like a Mercedes Benz, right? You don't want to have a car that's meant to be running on premium fuel and you're just putting regular gas in it. So that's how we got to think about, what we're putting into our bodies. And it's okay to have a cheat meal. It's okay to eat some of the foods you really, really love, or, those sweets. I have a sweet tooth. And, if my mom's makes a apple pie, I'm not going to not eat it, so like, but it's all about balance. It's all about moderation. That's a real thing when it comes to nutrition.
Okay, definitely. And I mean, a lot of brothers that I talk to say, listen, I'm working a lot of hours. I don't have time to work out. Okay, I'm eating healthy, but I still feel like I'm gaining weight because I'm sitting behind a desk all day. I'm sitting in a meeting. I'm sitting in the air condition. I'm sitting behind a computer. This Black Men Sundays, we talk about generational wealth, finance, and business, but we don't get personal trainers on here. We don't get NFL players on here that very often. So I got to go and ask you, man, we don't have time to work out. What can we do either at home or in the office, either before or after work, to get some type of movement in?
So, and that's one of the unfortunate negative, I don't want to say negative, but that's an unfortunate mindset that a lot of people tend to have. They're super busy. So one of the things that gets sacrificed the easiest is working out. And that's an unfortunate thing because working out doesn't necessarily have to be, I go to the gym and lift for, an hour straight or whatever it may be. Working out can be, physical activity of going for a 20-minute walk, 30-minute walk, just moving, right? Movement is medicine, so like, where you sitting for too long and for long periods of times can be really just not optimal for your health. So if and when you can find time to take calls, while you're doing a walk or, have a standing desk or obviously, in between your meetings, even if it's 10 minutes, finding that time to, go for a walk or whatever it may be, just kind of building that physical activity into your day can go a long way, as opposed to just not doing it at all. I tell some of my clients, who really feel like they don't have much time, look, I'd much rather you do 10 minutes of exercise 7 days a week, which will equate to 70 minutes of exercise for the week, as opposed to nothing, right? At least it may take you longer to reach certain goals, but who cares, right? Wellness and fitness and health is not a destination. It's a journey. It's a lifelong journey. So to look at it as like, well, I'm not going to get the results I want. I mean, yeah, sure. It may take you longer because the person who is able to go, for 60 minutes a day is obviously has an advantage because they're doing 6x the work. They may get results faster, but who cares, right? Because everybody's journey is individualized. Everyone's journey is their own journey. It shouldn't matter what other people are doing. You only have time for 10 minutes a day, and that's really what you only have time for. Then yeah, try to build that in with going for a walk, even if it's going to the gym and putting 10 to 15 minutes in of a quick couple exercise, whatever it may be. So I really try to tell people, especially when they're busy entrepreneurs, really try to, whether if you can't bake it in before the day, try to get up that extra hour early, go to bed an extra hour earlier so you can get up, an hour earlier and get some sort of exercise and movement in, really set the tone for your day. And I guarantee you not only the results that you see, but how much more productive and how much more energy you have from getting that necessary movement in before you start your day truly goes a long way.
So let's go back to One and One, a black-owned media company. A lot of brothers have these great ideas about starting businesses, but they may let fear, they may let just, no, no one may want to finance this. So, when you were, because you're the CEO and co-founder, so when you were setting your business up, did you have any fears going into it? I know you're a football player, so, a lot of brothers gonna say, oh, well, he played the ball, he probably was confident going in. But for a lot of brothers, they're a little on edge about maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. So what gave you the confidence to, go all in with your business, One and One?
Well, for me, the best ideas are typically when you're the most scared of them. So, or the best opportunities are the ones that scare you the most. And that's kind of my take on a lot of things. And man, if I have a really good idea and I feel really passionate about it, and I know that it's something that I really want to do, but it's scaring the heck out of me, I will go for it because shoot, I know up against some of the best players in the world when it came to football, I was nervous as hell. But, again, not getting embarrassed out there, but I knew that those were going to be the best opportunities for me in order to really prove myself. So for me, I say, you just got to go for it. Entrepreneurship is about being comfortable when you're uncomfortable. And, that's my motto for everything because that's what entrepreneurship is, man. It is literally like me and my business partner always talk about. Entrepreneurship is taking off as a plane, but you're building the plane while you're in the air. So like you're literally taking off, but you don't know what the heck is going to happen. There's going to be so many ups and downs, and you're building the plane before you get to the destination. So that is what it's about, and you got to go for it. It's never going to be the perfect time to get started. You're never going to be where you need to be to get started, right? There's always going to be an excuse that you can make or something that you can look at to say, well, I don't know if this is going to work out. I mean, sure. And if that's just, if you really don't feel like that's a step that you need to take, then don't do it. But don't beat yourself up over not doing it. The hardest part is always getting started. You have to take that step if it's something that you really believe in, that you're really adamant about. And you just have to believe in yourself because nobody else is going to believe in you. No one else is coming to inject this level of belief into you that's going to allow you to push forward. If you can't believe into yourself, like how are you going to get all the people that you're trying to provide this service or product or whatever, your venture may be, how are you going to get them to believe into that? So that's what you got to think about. And it starts with the belief in yourself, and, the rest is history. And also you got to be aware that failure is not failing. Failure is not final, and failure is not the end. It's not the end all be all. Failure is growth, right? So that's another thing that, like, it's okay to fail. I'm not saying go out there knowing and thinking you're going to fail, but there's a lot of successful people now who have failed 7 times before they succeeded on their eighth time. So, like, don't let that be the end of the road. Everyone who worries about losing before the game even gets started is probably bound to lose. So you can't go into it with that mindset, because you are going to set yourself up for failure. But you also, it makes it a lot, it makes it a lot easier to take the necessary jump when you realize that, like, okay, yeah, I failed, but, like, I'm not dead. It's not the end of my life. It's not the end of my world. Like, yeah, it sucks, but, like, okay, how do I use it as a learning lesson to maybe do the next thing even better? So, like, that's how you really got to go at something. You got to believe in yourself, and you also got to realize that, like, yes, if I do fail, I gave it everything I had. I put my best foot forward, and at worst, I learned a lot. So when I do have another great idea, or maybe that idea was good, it just wasn't the right time, I'm going to do it a lot better.
Got you. And for the brothers that are saying, listen, I have this great business idea. I work a 9 to 5. It pays the bills, but I'd rather do my business full time. I'm not going to quit my job just yet, but I feel like, this idea is going to be good. I've even spoke to some brothers that's made a few sales. And they're like, wow, this is just as much as a 2-week check at my job. What confidence do you have? At what point should you not even think about quitting your job to fulfill a business dream or a business venture?
Yeah, I think once you have a level of consistency with your product or with your sales, from that, I guess, hobby, you kind of call it, until it's not, obviously, that part-time venture that you're taking part in. I think that's when you can, and by consistency, I mean, like, you have the systems and the flow in place. You can predict relatively, like, how often you're going to get a sale that obviously allows you to live your life, right? Like, I wouldn't jump out here and say, like, quit your job and just give it everything you have. Obviously, a lot of people have families, they have bills to pay, and all that stuff is good. So unless you've saved a lot to kind of give you the necessary buffer to pay for your cost of living, which is, your bills and, like, whatever that may cost, your day to day and month to month bills. I would not obviously suggest to just quit your job that's allowing you to take care of those things. But obviously, one way is to save enough that gives you the wiggle room to, have I like to say 6 months of, if no money came in the door, you're good. And then that way you could really focus on your business and, focusing on moving your business forward, getting more sales to get to the point of subsidizing what you were making, and hopefully more. And then obviously, if you don't have the ability to save for 3 to 6 months, yeah, continue to work on that. Go do your job 9 to 5, and then from 5 to 8, 5 to 10, whatever hours you can afford to put in for that part-time situation on a week-to-week basis, build that bad boy up, get those sales in the door, get that traction that's necessary, and then slowly but surely, kind of set a goal for, okay, once I get to this point, I can really take the next step of quitting my 9 to 5. And I think that point usually looks like, okay, I'm really close to predictability of how many sales I can make in any given month or any given week, which ultimately allow you to make the decision to end your 9 to 5 at the right time. So I think it's just really evaluating, what that is and what that looks like. And also, I don't want to use the word greedy, but if you're not, a lot of people are just like, well, that's just easy money. I can do my 9 to 5 in my sleep. But it's really hard to take a venture to the next level if you don't wake up and that's all you think about and give it everything you got. So I would first and foremost, set realistic goals and kind of, timelines that you can realistically meet. So again, when you hit those goals, you can make the informative and educated decision to move on properly.
Okay, great information, man. Because I hear it. A lot of guests come on the show, and I've heard just brothers in the community saying, "Listen, I've got this great business idea. I hate my job. I'm quitting." I'm like, but they're quitting before they even started the business. They just quitting on an idea. So that's why I wanted to ask you. So what do you think about brothers that are just saying, you know what, I hate my job. I'm quitting. I'm just going to put all my energy into this idea. I'm going to wake up and think about this idea from the whole
Yeah.
day. What do you think about that?
Hey, I'm not against that. Like I said, hopefully that brother or that woman or a sister, hopefully they have, some wiggle room, some buffer, some savings that again allows them to comfortably, quit that job to put all their energy and effort into. So I hope as long as that's coming from a place of like, hey, I really don't like my job. I have enough saved up from that job to allow me to put my energy, time, and focus into something, into this great idea that I have without having this financial burden kind of lay over my head and stress me out today, then that's okay. I just wouldn't suggest someone to do that knowing that like they don't know how they're gonna keep the lights on next month for themselves, because then that just it'll make it a lot harder to move forward with that business venture or idea if you have this financial burden cloud kind of always over your head of like, how am I going to pay my bills? So yeah, as long as people are doing that, and that's because they've saved up and put themselves in a position to do that at a high level, then more power to them. I love and respect that, because yeah, something that is going to be successful does need a lot of your time, energy, and focus into it. And I would totally suggest that if they have the means to do so.
Okay, so basically, fellas, don't quit your job. If you got this great idea, you haven't done anything, don't quit. Please don't. I know it might feel good today, but in a week, when them bills start piling up, it's gonna feel a little different. So don't do it. So on the flip side of that, for the brothers that like their 9 to 5, they're in careers, been in their career for a few years, but they still have a phenomenal idea for a business. How should they utilize the finances from their main job to fund their dream job?
First and foremost, identify what the idea is. Obviously they do, but figure out what market that is, and whether and by that I mean D2C, direct to consumer, for people who may not know what that terminology means, or B2B, business to business. Identify what vertical, where you're trying to take this idea, and in what market, what type of product is going to be, et cetera. And then from there, really just, okay, figuring out the fixed and variable expenses that would need to go into getting this idea started, right? There's all types of ideas. Is it something of a that's going to require startup costs to build it? Is it a materialistic thing? Is it clothes? Is it a technology? Is it a SaaS product? Like there's tons of different things that an idea can be. So identifying what that is obviously will dictate what kind of steps need to be taken. But you just need to be realistic with doing the research for what it will cost to maybe build something like you're trying to build, if it is some sort of materialistic product or tech product that will need to be built at some point. But for example, let's just say it's a tech product. In a lot of ways, there's tons of ways that you can typically white label a technology that's already working to proof of concept. So I typically tell people, okay, if you have this great idea, let's try to find a way with the least amount of cash possible to really provide a proof of concept, right? That's going to allow you to, okay, validate your idea. So whether it's white labeling a technology platform to, use for your product, or white labeling a manufacturer clothing line to use for your clothing line that you want to bring to the market, whatever it may be. And really using like a small capsule, doing a small soft launch, seeing how it sits with your close friends and family, or seeing how it sits on your social medias or whatever it may be. Do like a really small campaign, whether it's just an organic marketing campaign or a paid media campaign, and seeing how that sits with the community that you're trying to reach. And then again, getting that offer validated. And then if and when that offer that does get validated for what you're trying to sell, then you can really start to iron out the details in the next phase of like, okay, people like this. Here's what I need to do to take it to the next level. Really itemize and list out, okay, here's what each item is going to cost. And then from there, be able to understand how much you're making from your 9 to 5 that you love and that you enjoy, and how much you can realistically pull out of that paycheck in order to fund what's necessary, right? So, and maybe you need to sit on that idea for a little bit to save up from that 9 to 5 to put you in a position to fuel and fund this idea at a high level. So, and these are things that you can do spending 2 to 3 hours after your 9 to 5 on a day-to-day basis, to really start to build that up little by little. It's all about compound interest. So, take the weekends and take your, 5 to 8 p.m., 5 to 10 p.m. block, however much time you want to spend, to really project and roadmap what that looks like, what the cost associated is going to look like. And this will ultimately allow you to really figure out, how much it's going to cost first and foremost. And then obviously identifying based on what you make, how much you can realistically, save and pull out to fund your venture or your idea.
Oh, great information, man. And I was talking to one of my brothers this morning, and he was like, "Hey, man, you think you should go ahead and get your Facebook, Instagram? You should go on and get the verification check." I'm like, "What you mean?" So I pulled it up, and I said, "Wait, that thing $14.99 a month." So as businesses, as we go in and the social media age monetizes now, is it really that important for me to pay that $14.99 a month to have just a blue check on my page? Is that really worth it?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I mean, not now. It's hard to say. It's kind of like the wild wild west. I'm still a big believer. Like, it's gonna be interesting to see. I think Instagram is either gonna change the colors for the people who earned it versus the people who are paying for it. So I'm kind of waiting and seeing how it plays out. All my friends, because I played, professionally, and the things that I've done, they're like, "Why aren't you verified?" Like, I don't know. I don't make the calls at Meta. I was verified on Twitter for a while, but could never get it on Instagram. I never actually like tried. I never like asked for it or whatever. I always just heard like, if you're meant to be verified, you'll just wake up with one. Unfortunately for me, it never happened. But yeah, it's kind of like the wild wild west. And it looks crazy. There's a lot of people I see with like 200 followers and 8 pictures that are verified, and I'm just like, it doesn't have the same credibility to me. So I don't really see the value yet. Like I said, I'm kind of waiting and seeing, as I like to do with most things. No knock to the people who did pay for it and now have it. If that provides a level of, whether it's validation or provides a level of amplifying their business needs, then so be it. I don't see how it does yet. Like I said, if I do come to find out that, like, if you have the blue check that you pay for, you're able to reach more people organically and do things that benefit your business, then obviously, yeah, I'll think about it. But until then, I'm not going to pay for a validation check, right? Like, I know I'd rather earn it naturally, and yeah, when that time comes, great. And I do think eventually, for the people who did earn it because of their celebrity status or whatever it may be, I think there will be a color change of sort or something that will happen anyway. And then will you kind of look crazy that you just like, yeah, you have a blue check, but we'll all know that you paid for it. So you know what I'm saying? So like, I would say hold off, like, in your way of thinking. And again, if you start to get some feedback and you're starting to see data that shows that, yeah, people who pay for the blue check are reaching more people, reaching their audiences, because like that's what Meta is and Instagram is allowing people to do, and that may happen, right? Because it's a business, right? At the end of the day, and that's what people don't realize. Like, social media is a business, so they're going to try to increase revenue, and they're going to try to do things that keep people on the platform and to keep people paying for stuff. So if they're going to tell people that, like, hey, you can reach more people if you have a blue check, then guess what? More people are going to buy it. I just think personally, seeing a platform that has millions of people with blue checks, I don't really see how that's any different of millions of people without blue checks. Like, now, just instead of no blue checks, we now have blue checks, and we're still just all communicating with each other with blue checks. It was much cooler. The blue check meant so much more before, so now it just kind of kind of diminishes its credibility and I guess it's want to have one. And I'm just kind of staying in my wait and see approach, and hopefully I can earn it, and hopefully earn the new colored one when that one happens.
Now I feel you, man, because a few of my brothers, they are business owners, and they were like, I don't want it on my personal Instagram, but maybe my business Instagram, my business Facebook, maybe that'll help blow it up some if I just go in and
Yeah,
pay for the check. But I'm like, but I asked them though, are you getting money off those platforms? Because for me, I'm not getting money off the platforms. I'm not cool with paying $14.99 a month just for a cool check to look cool.
yeah, yeah, and right. So, and that's something like maybe right, like maybe it's it for, let's say, my company page. I can see it making sense to your brother's standpoint. I could see it potentially making sense, trial and error. If that's an expense that they want to take on, let's see how it goes for 5 to 6 months and see if there is some sort of increase in reach, increase in the ability to grow my business's awareness and followers, or those things help, right, as it pertains to a business. So yeah, if that's like an expense that they're like, hey, let me give this 6 months and see what happens, then so be it. It's not, for me personally, I treat my personal page like a business page of sort, because it funnels a lot of my followers to my business, and to my different things that I have going on. But until I really see the value in it, or hear about the value in it, I'm gonna hold off for a bit. So, but again, I'm not nothing against the people who want to give it a try and think that it's going to provide some value to them, and I hope it does.
Gotcha. Yeah, because after our conversation, I said I was going to ask you about it, and then maybe an hour before the show, you know how Instagram kind of has you starting to think like, let me try it out, let me try it out. But I said, nah, let me ask you first before I jumped in that terrain, because at the same time I don't want to get a check. And they gonna be like, man, this guy got a check. Oh, he paying for it. Boo, So I don't want to have
Yeah,
that stigma attached to it as well.
yeah. It's almost as if like not having a check is going to be the cool thing in the next. We'll see, because again, some people will look at really crazy with 200 followers and a blue check. I just, to me that defeats the purpose of the blue check.
Yeah, I agree, man. And before I let you go, I got like maybe three more questions, but I do want to talk about mental health. We've had mental health experts from Columbia University come on, and but we haven't had an athlete, a trainer. We haven't had a brother like you to talk about mental health. So in our community, mental health is something. It's kind of like our parents would tell us, toughen up. Don't worry about that. Just stay focused on this. Don't worry about that. But nowadays, mental health is, coming to the forefront in our communities. So, what can we do as Black people to really not be afraid to talk about that mental health?
Yeah, I mean, mental health is one of the things that we focus on a lot at my company, One and One, because especially in the Black community, our way of life was suck it up. Man, stop being soft, stop being a baby. This is life, and I think that's what society, I think that's what it taught us. And unfortunately, like, yeah, in moments of constraint and adversity, like, yeah, like you got to be tough. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, like we talked about earlier in the show. However, the depression is real, anxiety is real. Like those are real, chemical imbalances that like we have to deal with, for men and women in the Black community. And it's not okay to not be okay for long periods of time, and I think it starts with identifying, is this short lived, or is this something that I really need to get help with. And we need to recognize it's okay to seek help. It's okay whether it's seeking help through a friend, seeking help through therapy, and all that good stuff. And I think there's just such a negative stigma around getting help and being seen as soft, that we tend to shy away from seeking that help until it's too late, right? Until unfortunately we see a lot of brothers and men and women taking their lives because they're just no longer happy with the life that they're living, right? Like, and you just wish that they would have spoke up or had the resources to help them be in a better place mentally so they can continue to move forward with life. And that's not a place I would want anybody to ever get to. So in the same way that, like, if we break our arm, or we, rupture our Achilles, or we tear our knees up, like, we go to the hospital. Mental health needs to be seen as the same thing as physical health, right? And I don't see how it's any different, because what's happening in our mind, that's where we spend our most time on a day-to-day basis. So why shouldn't we be doing everything possible to nurture it and take care of it? And the problem is because we can't see it, it's hard to believe it. Just like, if I saw you, Corie, walking down the street with crutches, I would probably hold the door open for you. But if I saw you walking down the street without crutches, but you were dealing with depression, and you were sad, who knows if I opened the door for you, because as a stranger, right? Because I can't see it. So it's a lot harder for me to identify what you may be dealing with, but it is necessary for you, Corie, to, potentially speak up and, say what's on your mind. Obviously, not to just any stranger, but to people you feel comfortable with, that you should be able to feel comfortable with, to say, hey, man, like, I'm really going through something, and I'm not happy with the way life is going right now. And, having someone to talk to and letting it out, as opposed to internalizing it and hoping for the best, like, that's not a strategy. A strategy is being able to realize that, it's not okay to not be okay for long periods of time, but it is okay to deal with it in the right way by identifying, whether it's the right people to talk to, the right resources to utilize in order to enhance your mental health, and put yourself in a better place for your overall well-being. And that not only takes its doing by trying to combat mental health issues when they come about, but it's also about what are we doing to proactively take care of ourselves so we can avoid getting into negative mental health situations.
I also, as I was doing some research on you, I saw that you guys basically break the stigma of mental health in fitness. And then I saw the Body Plate Mind program that you have going on as well. Can you just talk about that for us?
Yeah, so our Body Plate Mind program is basically a 3-month program that we put people in, to help them move forward mentally and physically. Starting with the mind first. BPM stands for Body Plate Mind, as you mentioned, because that's the three pillars. To me, the three main pillars of wellness is our body, our plate, which is our nutrition, and our minds, right? And that's something that we focus on with our program. It's as I said, a 3-month course that comes with a curriculum of videos to go through, where we have a bunch of learnings and teachings on sleep, on mental health, on nutrition. We have two modules on nutrition. We have a spiritual wellness module, a physical wellness module, and we go really deep into all of these topics that obviously everyone in the course has access to. And we also provide personalized, customized and tailored to each individual, specifically nutrition and fitness plans, to help people have a program, have some structure in place, to help them reach their certain goals. And a lot of our people come out of there losing 10, 20, 30. We had somebody lose 40 pounds in 3 months, really locking in. So every week we have 2 to 3 group calls. So it's a real community aspect. Everyone who comes in gets that 90-minute intake call with its 4 coaches, including myself, obviously. We have a nutritionist, myself, we have a mobility specialist, and we have a meditation specialist. So we all have our own strengths where we focus on, for the Body Plate Mind community. So when they come in, they kind of get all the boxes checked for them when it comes to overall wellness and well-being, because I really believe that all those boxes need to check to really move forward. And what our goal is for the people who come in is like, how do we make you self-sufficient beyond Body Plate Mind? So like when those 3 months are up, you feel really good about the foundational infrastructure that you built for yourself to continue to take all that you learned, for the rest of life. And obviously a lot of people, fortunately for us, stick with us they're like, hey, like, how do I just stay involved with this community? How do I continue to get whatever it may be? And we have like a graduate program that we put people in if they're really like, hey, I really just want you guys, I want to be able to continue to hop on all these calls and, get access to all the content that the bonus content that you continue to put out consistently to help, enhance my overall wellness journey. So like, how do I just stay involved? Or like, what does that look like? So we have a lot of that, and that's kind of what the program's about. And yeah, just building that community, seeing if people seeing how people can really work not only on themselves, but also work amongst other people and connect with other people to encourage them to also get going on their physical and mental wellness journey.
What can parents do for children that will make healthy eating a little easier for the kids?
So I think that's really similar to how we create a healthier eating environment for ourselves. I think teaching your kids how to make healthier decisions early is an important, method in order to kind of potentially set them up for success later in life. I think a lot of what we do as adults is just like the smaller versions of ourselves eating the things that we had access to, right? So like the things we love and enjoy in our adult life didn't just come out of nowhere. Those are things that we loved and enjoyed growing up, right? So little by little, maybe trying to find some of those healthier solutions that can be, substitutes in comparison to what they're already eating. Now I know that some of the healthier options are sometimes potentially too pricey. So there are a lot of means to, when it comes to certain things that taste really good to kids, there are healthier ways to make them naturally yourself. So if you can like find the means to, maybe you're making pancakes still, but maybe you're making the healthier version using, coconut flour, or creating identifying the healthier recipe that you can now make it yourself as that parent for your kids to snack on, or finding that, healthier solution for, all that candy that still has a sweet component to it, but it's not, 50, 60 grams of sugar, and your kids can still enjoy it. So it's about, doing a little bit of the work to obviously first and foremost identify what the kids really enjoy that they just can't live without, and then maybe finding a means to identifying a recipe to help create that meal that they really love, as an alternative, or finding that, nowadays there's so many healthier options of when it comes to snacks, et cetera, and doing that necessary research to, identifying that healthier option. And then, obviously if it's kind of like too expensive and not sustainable for your budget, kind of trying to, again, how can you potentially make it yourself, or just kind of fall in the middle of how can you identify a, healthier solution that maybe isn't that specific snack that your child may be seeking for, but opening their eyes to other things. Kids are curious, so try new things with them, and if it sticks, let's keep that going, right? Kids are tough. Nobody wants to upset their child, or have a whining child because they're not getting what they want. But kids are curious, and that very minimal moment of them maybe being upset that they didn't get their fruit roll up because you changed it out for something else that was a healthier option, like they'll be okay. So I think identifying that, and then little by little removing the sugary foods that are overtaking your house, and trading it off for some healthier options that can provide better health quality, more nutrients for themselves, I think is the way to go. And then also just if you're dealing with the issue of where you feel like your kid may be gaining a little bit too much weight at an early age, and your doctor's like, hey, like really watch this, like, just really honing in on portion control. Kids have to be kids, right? So I'm not sitting here and telling you to like put your kid on a keto diet or of sort, right? But how can you help them with portion control, and just minimizing how much they may be eating on a consistent basis, because kids don't know what they don't know, right? So let's not put them in a position to fail without trying to provide them the right knowledge and information to put them in the best place possible to succeed. Because kids are going to eat what's in front of them. They're growing, they're hungry, and they're not necessarily knowledgeable on all these things. So it's important for the parent to do the necessary work in order to pass that along to their children, so they can be healthier, feel better, look better, and they don't have to deal with some of the external validations that exist in society as it pertains to how we look and the things that we're eating.
Oh man, great information. Great information. My final question, Corie, did you enjoy your time on Black Men Sunday, brother?
I did. I had a great time, man. And
Good
your name's
stuff.
Cory, so it was all good.
Definitely, definitely. But I'm the IE, you the EY. So, definitely, man. Well, hey, brother, I appreciate you. You could have been anywhere. You came, spend some time with us, drop some knowledge. I mean, we talked about nutrition, fitness, mental health. We talked about investing. I mean, I kind of hit the whole circumference of what we're all about here on Black Men Sundays. Plus, we don't normally get a personal trainer too often. And a nutritionist. So I had to get you on there. And a brother with a master's degree and play ball. Come on, man. Come on, man. This is Black Men Sundays at its finest. So Corie Lewis, man, thanks for coming on Black Men Sundays. We appreciate you, and enjoy the rest of your day, brother.
You too, and everyone out there, and everybody else that's on. Hope you all have a great Sunday and enjoy your day, and have a great week.
It's a Black Man Sunday. Time to put all childish things away.